another minute or so, but we are now live streaming.
Keith. Please rise for the pledge to the flag.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening. Welcome to the May meeting of the Town of Lancaster Zoning Board of Appeals. Tonight we have 9 cases. I'm going to read them quickly, so if you're here for one of them, you know approximately where you'll fall. First is 46 Summerfield, 460 Aurora, 21 Pineview, 412 Town Line, 6461 Broadway, 18 Cavoyd, 1 and 2 Northfield, and the 9th case is 28 Windcroft. I'm going to ask our town clerk, Ms. Terranova, to take the attendance, please.
Mr. Hain.
Here.
Mr. Matthews.
Here.
Mr. Michaely.
Here.
Mr. Storr.
Here.
Mr. Tillmans.
Here.
Mr. Zelek.
Here.
Chairman Monticelli.
Here. Thank you. And when you're ready, would you read us the first case, please?
Notice is hereby given of a meeting of the Zoning Board of Appeals in the town of Lancaster held Thursday, May 8th, 2025 at 7 p.m. in the town board chambers. Items for consideration by the Zoning Board of Appeals. Number 1, the petition of Alan and Suzanne Hole, 46 Summerfield Drive, Lancaster, New York, for one variance for the purpose of constructing a privacy fence in a required front yard on premises owned by the petitioners at 46 Summerfield Drive, Lancaster, New York, to wit, a variance from the requirements of Chapter 400 zoning, Section 34, subsection C of the Code of the Town of Lancaster. The request calls for constructing a 6-foot-tall privacy fence and a required front yard setback. Chapter 400 zoning, Section 34, subsection C of the Code of the Town of Lancaster requires within non-industrial districts no fence or wall other than a necessary retaining wall over 3 feet in height shall extend into the front yard of any lot. The petitioners therefore request a 3-foot variance.
Thank you. Do we have anyone here from 46 Summerfield? Hi, come on up, please. We're going to ask you to go to the podium and give your names and address for the record.
Yeah, I'm Alan Hall. This is my wife Sue, and we live at 46 Summerfield. And we're asking for a variance for the, as the town clerk said, with the exception that I have to tell you that we've changed our plan somewhat. Mm-hmm. And instead of doing a privacy fence for 6 foot, we decided to do a ornamental aluminum fence at 4.5 feet, which would be 6 feet off of the sidewalk and come off of our garage. So we're only looking to put like 142 feet of fence up and attaching to an existing fence that belongs to a neighbor.
I see.
So it wouldn't, because we're on the corner, it wouldn't obscure anyone's view of the corner because, if it were a privacy fence, you wouldn't be able to see through it. So we changed that plan a little bit. But the variance is actually more what we asked for in writing is different than what we actually what we want to put in.
Okay. Jennifer, Diane, do we need to do anything?
Let's just note the change, that they're changing their application from 6
I have a copy of the estimate with the drawing of what we're looking to do, if you'd like to see that.
Yeah, sure, if you want to give it to
Thank you.
Mr. Hain. Mr. Ziegler.
And this is what the fence is going to look like.
Okay, thank you. So you're going, this says 4 foot high, you're going 4 foot 6?
4.5 feet, yeah. It's, right there, it says 54 inches.
Okay, 54, gotcha. Thank you.
Thanks.
The top of it is what it will look like. There are no points to it at all, there'll be no sharp ends.
Yeah. It's nice. Okay, I'm going to turn it over to the board for questioning now. Mr. Hain, do you have any questions?
I have no questions.
And Mr. Matthews?
And just to clarify, so it's 4.5, not 6 feet.
4.5, that's right.
Thank you, I have no further questions.
Thank you. Mr. Michaeli?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have no questions.
Thanks. Mr. Storr?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I actually have a question for Matt. In this type of situation, I believe you said you were 6 feet off the sidewalk. Is that standard for
No, 3.
3 is the zoning law for that?
No, 3 feet high.
No. He's putting his fence 6 feet from the sidewalk. Is that like standard in this area?
Any of the front yard setback dimensions are taken from the property line, not from the sidewalk. Typically, in a perfect setting, that sidewalk is going to be located 2 feet into the right of way. So in theory, we're talking 6 feet from the sidewalk, 4 feet from the property line.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Chair. No further questions.
Thank you, Mr. Storr. Mr. Tillmans?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have no questions.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Selak?
Thank you, Madam Chair, I have no questions as well.
I have no questions either, so we will see if anybody in the audience has questions or comments.
I just want to see what it looks like too, since the base is currently my house.
Okay, we're going to ask you to come up and, folks, if you could just let her have the floor for a moment.
So this is what the fence will look like. And this is the house. You will come out from the side of the garage. This is what this. This is an existing fence. This fence is 8 feet.
So does the fence starts here.
No, this house.
Well, yeah.
There'll be a-
This fence starts here, so this fence is
Yep.
This is the existing fence of the people behind us. So then it comes out to like midway from the.
So it's not in line with your house, how far is this?
4 feet.
4 feet.
4 feet from the house.
The gate is 4 feet from the house, 18.
And then the sidewalk is. So we're over the sidewalk, we're 6 feet in the sidewalk. The purpose of this was so that we can let the dogs out. And 6 feet in, means that anybody can walk in, the dog, the children, and the other vehicles.
I guess, can I say that? It's better than the carpentry stuff.
Yeah, so it looked similar to this.
Quite sure how to take this back.
obviously not mentioned still, but it's also, because we live at the top of the T, it looks out toward everybody's property.
Okay, folks, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to interrupt you. And just for clarification, for future comments from the audience, the procedure involves coming to the podium, identifying yourself and your address, and directing any questions to the board. Okay, so if you would...
So I'm for Apple Blossom. My name is Sandra Barberio. So I live at the top of the T, so my house would be here, and your house would be directly in front of mine. So when you sent the letter, it was obviously it was within 100 feet of my house. So obviously my concern was originally as a 6-foot like stockade fence, it's not the most attractive thing to look out to your house to see. And since, like I said, it faces the front of my house, this is where the bedrooms are, and it looks out. But I mean, I do see that the fence is something that you obviously see right through, and I understand the purpose of it. I like the idea that it's not so close to the sidewalk, that it's more closer to the property line. I'm okay with that.
Okay, thank you. Okay, anyone else in the audience? Okay, there being none, moving along here, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Mr. Michaeli.
Whereas the zoning board of appeals of the town of Lancaster has made the following findings, that this area variance for single-family residence according to part 617.5 C17 of the New York State Code Rules and Regulations is a type 2 action and has been determined not to have a significant impact on the environment. Therefore, it is not subject to a secret review. That no undesirable change will be produced in the character of the neighborhood by the granting of the area variance relief sought. That no detriment to nearby properties will be created by the granting of the area variance relief sought. That the benefits sought by the applicant cannot be achieved by some other method feasible for the applicant to pursue other than the area variance relief sought. That the requested area variance relief is not substantial. That the proposed area variance relief will not have an adverse effect or impact on the physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood or district. That the alleged difficulty is self-created, but not to the extent necessary to preclude the granting of the area variance relief sought. That this board has taken into consideration the benefit of the applicants if the variance relief sought is granted as weighed against the detriment to the health, safety, and welfare of the neighborhood or community by such grant. That within the intent and purposes of this ordinance, the variance relief sought, if granted, is the minimum variance necessary to afford relief, and that such fence will not unduly shut out light or air to adjoining properties, and that such fence will not create a fire hazard by reason of its construction or location.
Thank you. And do you want to add a comment about the modification?
Sure. And should we do it as a condition, or just are we modifying the variance?
Just note that the applicant modified their application from a 6-foot fence to a 4.5-and-a-half-foot ornamental aluminum fence.
But what Jennifer just said, the applicant has modified the variance from a 6-foot to a 4.5-foot aluminum fence, which already was on the 4-foot. The aluminum was already on the application, I believe, but it said 6-foot. That's it.
It doesn't really matter, right? It's just the height.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second, Mr. Hain. Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Hain?
Yes.
Mr. Matthews?
Yes.
Mr. Michaeli?
Yes.
Mr. Storr?
Yes.
Mr. Tillmans?
Yes.
Mr. Zelak?
Yes.
Chairman Monticelli?
Yes. Thank you. Congratulations. You
Thank
made your
you. Thank you.
variance.
That's
Good luck
wonderful.
with your project.
Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you. Take
You're
care.
welcome. You too. Okay, Ms. Terranova, will you read the second case, please?
Second case considered by the zoning board of appeals is that of the petition of Jacob Glauser, 460 Aurora Street, for 2 variances for the purpose of constructing a residential accessory structure on premises owned by the petitioner, 460 Aurora Street, Lancaster, New York, to wit: A variance from the requirements of Chapter 400 zoning Section 14, subsection D, Schedule B of the Code of the Town of Lancaster. The request calls for constructing a residential accessory structure 7 feet from an existing non-conforming primary structure. Chapter 400 zoning, Section 14, subsection D, Schedule B of the Code of the Town of Lancaster requires a minimum side yard width for dwellings up to 35 feet in height on each side and the lesser of 10% of the lot width or 10 feet. The petitioner therefore requests a 5.5-foot variance. B, a variance from the requirements of the Chapter 400 zoning, Section 14, subsection D, Schedule B of the Code of the Town of Lancaster. The request calls for constructing a residential accessory structure 7 feet from an existing non-conforming primary structure. Chapter 400 zoning, Section 14, subsection D, Schedule B of the Code of the Town of Lancaster requires an accessory to be a minimum of 10 feet from another structure. The petitioner therefore requests a 3-foot variance.
Thank you. And do we have a representative from 460 Aurora? Good evening.
Good evening. My name's Jacob Blaus. I'm from 460 Aurora Street.
Tell us about your project.
So my wife wanted one of the Amish gazebos, and I told her I could build a shed, a covered porch, way cheaper. And I did not realize I needed a permit, and I built this structure. I'm not within the requirements, so that's why I'm standing here. I do have a couple of pictures I could give you with a site map to. Yeah.
Thank you.
When did you build this?
Springtime,
Last year?
2 years ago.
2 years ago.
Yeah.
I did see this in person.
What's the size, the dimensions of this?
It's 14 by 16. It's 14 wide by 16 deep. Then it just has the two sides are on it just for privacy, kind of all.
Anything else you need to tell us?
No?
Okay. We'll turn it over to the board, starting with Mr. Matthews.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have no questions.
Thank you. Mr. Michaeli?
Thank you, Madam Chair. That's, how high is that? I asked the dimension. That's,
It's roughly 9.5 feet to the ridge.
It's calculated at 10 foot 8 inches based on the roof pitch as proposed.
okay. But the variances all have to do with the distance setback. Matt, there's a, I always put you on the spot, but there's an L-shaped parcel that's wraps around this to the south and the west. It's owned by the town.
Stormwater facility.
That's stormwater facility, okay. So part of what I'm getting at right there, as far as impacting other neighbors, that lot most likely will never be built on. There's no one there.
I've maintained that for 32 years,
Yeah,
so.
okay. I have no other questions, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Storr?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Do you have electricity running to this?
I do.
Matt, have you inspected this? Is this up to building code standards or?
Honestly, I think the only conundrum we're going to have is verifying the foundation of the system, whether or not it's meeting the frost depth.
Okay, in your opinion,
Certainly the electrical.
in your opinion, does the electrical pose any fire hazard or anything?
We're going to rely on a third-party inspection agency to verify and certify the electrical work.
It's been inspected.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Chair. No further questions.
Thank you, Mr. Storr. Mr. Tillmans?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have no questions.
Thank you. Mr. Zelak?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I do have a question. Is it a rear garage in the far back?
It is.
Did you build that? Was that on the property?
That was my original garage before I added on, and when we did the addition in 2002, we just moved it back.
Was there a permit for that?
No, when we were doing it, Leo was our inspector at the time, and he said just take and move it to the backyard and put it in there. So there's been nothing for the back.
And that's just, is that on a pad? Is it on piers?
It is on a pad.
It's on a pad?
Yeah.
Okay. I have no further questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Zelak. All right, anyone in the audience have any questions or comments? There being none, do we have a motion?
Can I ask one more question? Matt, do you
Please.
have any comments on this? Well, so what's the next step? Put it this way, what's the next step? If we were to grant this variance, is the permit issued?
Issue the permit,
Okay.
and we will attempt to retroactively do the construction inspections. That's prerequisite on most of these structures. I think the biggest problem is going to be verifying what the foundation is in the big.
Okay. It doesn't, but you still would go ahead and do whatever it is that you have to do before issuing a permit or after?
After the relief is granted, we could issue the permit based on the information that's provided.
Okay. So you still would wait to get information provided?
At the agreement.
Okay.
We have a set of sketches, but again, we need to verify the foundation.
So if it wasn't for,
Opposed to what's on site, we haven't made that verification.
if it wasn't for the variance, would you have issued a permit by now?
Sure.
Okay. Okay. I have no questions. Thank you.
They've been great, actually. Rob's been awesome.
I'm sorry. I didn't hear.
Rob's been awesome. He's been handling it for the building department, so.
All right, and my apologies, Mr. Hain, would you have any questions?
I have no questions. I contacted the building department about the procedure for the inspection moving forward to make sure that everything was going to be up to code. And Matt assured me they'd be going through the structure to make sure that everything is up to code going forward. So appreciate that. I have no further comments or questions.
Excellent, thank you. All right, and is there anyone in the audience? Okay. Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Thank you, Mr. Storr.
Whereas the zoning board of appeals of the town of Lancaster made the following findings, that this area variance for a single-family residence according to part 617.5 C17 of the New York State Code's rules and regulations, the type 2 action has been determined not to have a significant impact on the environment, therefore is not subject to secret review. That no undesirable change will be produced in the character of the neighborhood by granting of the area variance relief sought. That no detriment to nearby properties will be created by granting of the area variance relief sought. That the benefit cannot be sought by the benefit sought by the applicant cannot be achieved by some other method feasible for the applicant to pursue other than the area variance relief sought because it is already built. That the requested area variance is not substantial. That the proposed area variance will not have an adverse effect or impact on the physical or environmental conditions of the neighborhood or district, that the alleged difficulty is self-created, but not to the extent necessary to preclude the granting of the area variance relief sought, that this board is taking into consideration the benefit of the applicant if the variance relief sought is granted as weighed against the detriment to the health, safety, and welfare of the neighborhood or community by such grant, that no commercial enterprise other than those permitted by Chapter 400 of the Code of the Town of Lancaster will be conducted on the premises.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you. Second, Mr. Tillmans. And roll call vote, please.
Mr. Hain.
Yes.
Mr. Matthews.
Yes.
Mr. Michaely.
Yes.
Mr. Storr.
Yes.
Mr. Tillmans.
Yes.
Mr. Zelak.
Yes.
Chairman Monticelli.
Yes. Okay, your variance has been granted. Just follow up with the building department.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
Jacob, do you need this one? Here. You're welcome. Okay.
Okay, will you read the third case, please?
Third case considered by the Zoning Board of Appeals is the petition of Adam Schiller, 21 Pineview Lane, Lancaster, New York, for one variance for the purpose of constructing a privacy fence in the front yard on premises owned by the petitioner at 21 Pineview Lane, Lancaster, New York, to wit. A variance from the requirements of Chapter 400 zoning Section 34 subsection C of the Code of the Town of Lancaster. The request calls for installing a 6-foot tall fence in a front yard setback. Chapter 400 zoning Section 34 subsection C of the Code of the Town of Lancaster requires within non-industrial districts no fence or wall other than a necessary retaining wall over 3 feet in height shall extend into the front yard of any lot. The petitioner therefore requests a 3-foot variance.
Thank you. Representative from 21 Pine View. Good evening.
I am Adam Schiller from 21 Pineview.
Okay, Mr. Schiller, tell us about your request.
We want to put a fence up in our backyard, which I guess is also our front yard, since we're a corner lot. So that's pretty much it.
What kind of fence?
It's going to be a white vinyl.
White vinyl.
Fence,
Okay.
yep.
All right. Have you talked to any of your neighbors about it?
Yeah, we did talk to our next door neighbor. They were okay with it.
Okay. And is that the house that would be facing the fence? Or
No, it's the house next to us.
Okay.
We just moved in
Okay.
in January. Didn't really meet too many of the neighbors yet, but yeah.
Okay. Let's start with Mr. Michaeli, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We do have we received an email this week from your neighbor at 19 Pineview saying from, the name is Shirley Savon, regarding to the recent memo sent to us at 19 Pineview Lane regarding 21 Pineview. Please note that we have absolutely no issues with the variance application. Our neighbor Rita at 17 Pineview also has no issues. She wanted me to extend this onto you. I have no questions, but thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Shore.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Love the shirt.
Thank you.
No further questions.
See that shoes too?
Shoes.
Out of this world, right?
Fantastic.
Ciao.
Thank you, Mr. Shore. Mr. Tillmans?
I have no questions, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Hain? I did it again. Mr. Zelat?
Thank you, Madam Chair. No questions.
Thank you. Mr. Hain?
Thank you, Madam Chair. No questions.
Thank you. Mr. Matthews?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have no questions.
Okay, thank you. I have no questions either. Okay, thanks. Okay, and any questions or comments from the audience? Yes, ma'am. Come on up to the podium, please. And if you could just step aside, we'll let her speak. And we just need your name and address for the record, please.
Well, my name is Susan Parr, and I live at 40 Pheasant Run Lane, which is like kitty corner from here. And I've spoken to a couple of my neighbors too, and they're actually opposing it. And I would like to go on record that I oppose it. I oppose the variance for a 6-foot fence in the front yard. I think it will have a negative impact on the neighborhood aesthetics as well as property value, but my main concern is that this is a corner lot and there's a lot of traffic at that intersection. A lot of pedestrian traffic, especially dog walkers, that kind of thing. And I'm a little concerned about the safety issue of having a 6-foot fence in the front yard because I think it's going to interfere with the views there. So that's my main thing, and I'm hoping that you don't approve it, but I don't want to be a bad neighbor, but I am concerned.
Did you understand what a front yard is on a corner lot?
No, I don't.
We're only going from the back of our house here and there. So from the front of our house all the way up.
Oh, you're not doing it here?
No, as a corner lot, it's technically two
Well,
front
I have
yards.
no problem. That's it, I'm done.
No, it's what every other house does. It's just
Okay.
technically it's two street sides, so they're front
It's the
yards.
back of his house, the corner back of his house.
Yes.
Okay, so it would like,
Like what this
if there
guy
was a
has right
house
here.
right.
Correct, yeah.
Oh, you just go right ahead.
Thank you.
I'm not
You know,
mad.
that confused me too when I first started, was it's considered a front yard, but it's actually on the side.
So does that mean if I put leaves on that street too, it's a front yard and they do get picked up?
No.
No, it's only a front yard for a fence.
Yes.
Could I also clarify for this board too, again, that setback dimension is right from that front property line. The property line that runs along Pheasant Run Lane. The proposed location is going to be outside of the two easements there. That is 15 feet from that property line. So based on our discussion we had prior with the location from a sidewalk, the proposed location of the fence is going to be 17 feet from the sidewalk.
Oh, okay.
Oh, wow.
Did you realize that?
So wait, what was that?
Proposed location of the fence. Okay. Is outside of the easement. This easement is 15 feet from the property line. Sure. The sidewalk is another 2 feet in front on the street side of the property line. So the dimension is actually 17 feet from the sidewalk. This area here.
So it's got to be 17 feet back.
Well, that's where it's proposed right now, 17.
So, okay, so when I drew this, I thought those two lines were the sidewalk? I thought this was the street and those two lines, so.
These dimensions here are the setback for your easement. It's a 10-foot.
Okay,
Storage
so I
storage.
actually want to be closer to the sidewalk than that easement. I saw those two dotted lines.
Should the variance be granted, you're going to need to provide a storm sewer encroachment, easement encroachment letter from Erie County Sewer District Board, as well as New York State Electric and Gas easement encroachment letter.
Okay.
With
That's
the fence
right.
within the region.
People or.
New York State Electric and Gas, as well as Erie County Sewer District Board.
Okay.
Or he can make it smaller, correct?
In order to encroach into those easements, the holder of that easement needs to acknowledge the structure.
Right. But if he makes it smaller, you don't come out, let's just say it's 30 feet, you come off 20 feet, you're not going to...
I was just showing him, I thought
Yeah.
these two
These
dotted
are
lines were
lines.
the sidewalk,
Right.
so we actually want to go almost up to this.
You gotta go closer to your house. This right here, you have to be off this easement, this is utilities
So
or
my
whatnot.
backyard neighbor has a fence right up to the sidewalk, pretty much.
So they're through the easement, they might have gotten a variance. This would be another step for you to contact,
So I need to do another variance then for that.
right? No?
No, no, no,
Need to
no.
request an easement encroachment.
Okay.
Where's that come from, Matt?
Erie County Sewer District Board.
I'll take my phone out and make notes of this right now.
Yes.
Encroachment easement letter. Just so I don't forget this. From Gas and Electric?
New York State Electric and Gas, I say.
Yep.
With the phone company too? Or on the survey?
Probably I would imagine the lead utility and easement.
Right, because they're filed in one easement.
Okay, you got it? Mm-hmm. Any other questions from the audience or from the board? Okay, there being none, do we have a motion?
I can make a motion.
Thank you, Mr. Tillmans.
Whereas the zoning board of appeals of the town of Lancaster has made the following findings. This area variance relief for a single-family residence according to part 617.5C17 of the New York State Codes, Rules, and Regulations is a type 2 action. It has been determined not to have a significant impact on the environment. Therefore, it is not subject to a seeker review. That no undesirable changes will be produced in the character of the neighborhood by the granting of the area variance relief sought. That no detriment to nearby properties will be created by the granting of the area variance relief sought. That the benefits sought by the applicant cannot be achieved by some other method feasible for the applicant to pursue other than the area variance relief sought. That the requested area variance relief is substantial. That the proposed area variance relief will not have an adverse effect or impact on the physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood or district. That the alleged difficulty is self-created, but not to the extent necessary to preclude the granting of the area variance relief sought due to the property being considered a front yard. That this board has taken into consideration the benefit to the applicants if the variance relief sought is granted as weighed against the detriment to the health, safety, and welfare of the neighborhood or community by such grant. That within the intent and purposes of this ordinance, the variance relief sought, if granted, is the minimum variance necessary to afford relief. That such fence will not unduly shut out light or air to adjoining properties, and that such fence will not create a fire hazard by reason of its construction or location.
Thank you. Motion by Mr. Tillmans. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Matthews. Thank you. Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Hain?
Yes.
Mr. Matthews?
Yes.
Mr. Michaely?
Yes.
Mr. Storr?
Yes.
Mr. Tillmans?
Yes.
Mr. Zelik?
Yes.
Chairman Monticelli?
Yes. Your variance is granted. You just follow up with the building department.
Perfect. Thank you.
Have a good night. Thank you. Will you read the case, the fourth case, please?
Fourth case considered by the Zoning Board of Appeals is the petition of Milton Sheehan, 412 Town Line Road, Lancaster, New York, for 3 variances for the purpose of constructing a pole barn on premise owned by the petitioner at 412 Town Line Road, to wit: A variance from the requirements of Chapter 400, zoning Section 13, subsection C, Schedule B of the Code of the Town of Lancaster. The request calls for constructing a pole barn 11 feet from a side property line. Chapter 400, zoning Section 13, subsection C, Schedule B of the Code of the Town of Lancaster requires a minimum of 15 feet from the side lot line. The petitioner therefore requests a variance of 4 feet. B, a variance for the requirements of Chapter 400, zoning Section 13, subsection C, Schedule B of the Code of the Town of Lancaster. The request calls for constructing a 1,440 square foot pole barn. Chapter 400, zoning Section 13, subsection C, Schedule B of the Code of the Town of Lancaster requires a maximum accessory structure size of 1,250 square feet. The petitioner therefore requests a variance of 190 square feet. Excuse me. C, a variance from the requirements of Chapter 400, zoning Section 13, subsection C, Schedule B of the Code of the Town of Lancaster. The request calls for constructing a 22-foot, 8-inch pole barn. Chapter 400, zoning Section 13, subsection C, Schedule B of the Code of the Town of Lancaster requires a maximum accessory structure height of 16 feet. The petitioner therefore requests a variance of 6 feet, 8 inches.
Thank you. Do we have a representative for 412 Town Line?
Hi, my name is Milton Sheehan from 412 Town Line.
Thank you.
So I'd like to build a pole barn. My wife and I are in the process of purchasing a 28-foot trailer for camping with our kids. I want to have a place to store that indoors. I'd also like the other half of it for storage. I have a tractor for snow blowing. We're set pretty far off the road. And I have a couple other implements that right now are just on the side of my house, rusting when it rains out. And it doesn't look all that great. I weed whack around them, but it's kind of an eyesore for my neighbors. So I'd like to clean that up by storing those inside as well. So that's the reason for the request for the square footage variance. In terms of the height, I do want to loft half of it to have some other storage. We have kayaks and things that I'd put up top. And the additional, the side walls will be 16 feet, and I need that additional height to accumulate. That additional height accumulates because of the pitch of the roof to account for snow load and having a 412 pitch, so that I'm not going to have a flat roof up there in Western New York. That's a bad idea. As far as the variance for the side lot line, I have a couple of trees that are in my yard that I'd rather not take down because they put shade on the back cement pad behind my garage that we have right now. And when I'm working on stuff, I'll cut wood out there and grinding and things, and then we have a picnic table there as well that we eat at pretty often during the summer, and not having that shade would make it a little less useful.
Okay, anything else?
No.
Thank you. I just want to note for the record that we have letters from 2 of your neighbors, including 404 Town Line, which I understand is adjacent to the property line that you're asking for the variance for. That is Buzz Karas at 404 Town Line. We also have one from Roger Murray at 420 Town Line. Both letters are in support of your project.
Sorry, I do have one more thing, and I had it right in front of me, but, you know, I just forgot it was sitting there. I actually went around to all of the other neighbors as well that are bordering my property, even though they're not within sight. And I got them to sign this as well with their phone numbers. There is one that's not on there. I don't think I've only met him once, and I'm not sure that he lives there full-time. The times that I've gone to try and stop and talk to him, there hasn't been anyone at home.
Okay, thank you for providing that.
That's 5 copies of the same thing.
Thank you.
Sorry, I'm a teacher. I make enough copies for everybody.
Okay, we're going to turn this over to the board for questions, starting with Mr. Storr.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have no questions at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Storr. Mr. Tillmans?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have no questions.
Mr. Zelak?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have no questions as well.
Mr. Hain?
Thank you, Madam Chair, no questions.
Mr. Matthews?
Thank you, Madam Chair. No questions.
And Mr. Michael Lee?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have no questions.
Okay, thank you. There are a couple of barns already on the property, including one that looks like it's in pretty bad shape. Are you?
On my property?
Yeah. At Fort. You were there today, right? Am I thinking of the wrong property?
I didn't see what you said.
Oh.
But I was on the phone too.
Okay.
And I've been all around my property, and the only house is the one that I built myself.
Okay.
So,
No other structures?
no other structures.
Okay, I'm sorry. I was looking at the wrong place, apparently. Okay, in that case, I have no questions either. Anybody in the audience? Comments, questions? Okay.
Good job getting the letters from the neighbors.
Oh,
Yeah, thank you for that. Okay, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Motion, Mr. Hain, thank you.
Whereas the zoning board of appeals of the town of Lancaster has made the following findings. At this area variance for a single-family residence, according to Part 617.5C17 of the New York State Codes, Rules, and Regulations, is a Type 2 action and has been determined not to have a significant impact on the environment. Therefore, it is not subject to a secret review. That no undesirable change will be produced in the character of the neighborhood by granting of the area variance relief sought. That no detriment to nearby properties will be created by the granting of the area variance relief sought. That the benefit sought by the applicant can be achieved by some other method feasible for the applicant to pursue and other than the variance relief sought. Sorry, I misread that. That the benefit sought by the applicant cannot be achieved by some other method feasible for the applicant to pursue other than the variance relief sought. That the requested area variance relief is not substantial. That the proposed area variance relief will not have an adverse effect or impact on the physical and environmental conditions in the neighborhood or district. That the alleged difficulty is self-created but is not to the extent necessary to preclude the granting of the area variance relief sought. That this board has taken into consideration the benefit to the applicants if the variance relief sought is granted as weighed against the detriment to the health, safety, and welfare of the neighborhood or community by such grant.
I'll second.
Okay, motion, Mr. Hain, second, Mr. Michael Lee. And roll call vote, please.
Mr. Hain.
Yes.
Mr. Matthews.
Yes.
Mr. Michael Lee.
Yes.
Mr. Storr.
Thank you. Yes.
Mr. Tillmans.
Yes.
Mr. Zelik.
Yes.
Chairman Monticelli.
Yes.
I'm done.
We're only halfway through, Keith. Your variance is granted.
Thank you.
Okay, good luck with your project. This is where I was. Okay, moving right along, Mr. Arnova, will you read us case number 5, please?
Fifth case considered by the zoning board of appeals is that of the petition of John Waldmiller, 6461 Broadway Street, Lancaster, New York, for one variance for the purpose of constructing an addition with a wheelchair lift tower on premises owned by the petitioner at 6461 Broadway, Lancaster, New York, to wit, a variance from the requirements of Chapter 400 zoning Section 13, subsection C, Schedule B of the Code of the Town of Lancaster. The request calls for constructing an addition with a wheelchair lift tower 4 feet from an existing residential accessory garage. Chapter 400 zoning Section 13, subsection C, Schedule B of the Code of the Town of Lancaster requires a minimum of 10 feet from another structure. The petitioner therefore requests a variance of 6 feet.
Thank you. Mr. Waldmiller, you want to come up, please? Good evening.
Good evening. My name is John Waldmiller. I live at 6461 Broadway Street. And yeah, I am trying to put an addition on the house for a full bathroom and bring the laundry from the basement up, make it a little more accessible for my mother. What I have on that first floor now is a half bath. And I just went through almost a year with my father trying to get him from a walker in that bathroom and back out of that bathroom. And it's very, very difficult. And I don't have a shower or anything else on that first floor. So I'm trying to make it so that it's a little bit easier for my mother. Again, I don't hit the back porch is the same way. It's not wheelchair accessible. So I'm trying to get all of that taken care of. I don't know what else to do. I'm doing the best I can and trying to bring things up to code. It's a house that was built in 1912. It's a farmhouse. What can I say?
Okay. You and I met when I was at your house blocking your driveway. And so I saw where you're looking to put the wheelchair lift. Just for clarification, you're not asking for a permit at this time for the addition you're speaking of, correct?
That was with the guy that's going to build the house or build the addition, you know. And I guess that was supposedly going to be all in one package. I don't know exactly.
Do you know if he applied for a permit for the addition?
He said that he had
did.
applied for a permit, yes.
Okay, and that requires no variances for the addition?
No, not at all.
Okay.
It's just a setback.
Just the-
Distance from the tower.
Okay, all right, thank you. All right, Mr. Tillman, do you want to start us off?
Thank you, Madam Chair. The wheelchair lift is sort of, I guess, I'm assuming it needs a permit because it's semi-permanent? Is that it? Or is it just because it's...
It's a built-in lift.
Yeah, okay. I have no further questions, thanks.
Thank you. Mr. Zelak?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have no questions.
Thank you. Mr. Hain?
Thank you, Madam Chair. No questions.
Thank you. Mr. Matthews?
Thank you, Madam Chair. No questions.
And Mr. Michaeli?
No questions, thank you, Madam Chair.
You're welcome. Mr. Storr?
Thank you, Madam Chair, no questions.
No questions, okay. And you've answered mine. So anybody in the audience have any questions or comments? There being none, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Motion, Mr. Storr.
Whereas the zoning board of appeals of the town of Lancaster has made the following findings, that this area variance for a single-family residence according to 617.5C17 of the New York State Codes, Rules, and Regulations, Type 2 action has been determined not to have a significant impact on the environment, therefore it is not subject to secret review, that no undesirable change will be produced in the character of the neighborhood by granting of the area variance relief sought, that no detriment to nearby properties will be created by the granting of the area variance relief sought, because a wheelchair lift is not a detriment. that the benefit sought by the applicant cannot be achieved by some other method feasible for the applicant to pursue other than the area variance sought because of the construction of the home.
Because?
Of the construction of the home. That the requested area variance is not substantial, that the proposed area variance will not have an adverse effect or impact on the physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood or district, that the alleged difficulty is self-created but not to the extent necessary to preclude the granting of the area variance relief sought, that this board has taken into consideration of the benefit of the applicants if the variance relief sought is granted as weighed against the detriment to the health, safety, and welfare of the neighborhood or community by such grant.
Thank you. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, Mr. Michael, second. And roll call vote, please.
Mr. Hain?
Yes.
Mr. Matthews?
Yes.
Mr. Michaely?
Yes.
Mr. Storr?
Yes.
Mr. Tillmans?
Yes.
Mr. Zelik?
Yes.
Chairman Monticelli?
Yes. Okay, your variance is being granted. Good luck. I know you got your hands full over there.
You wouldn't believe.
Yeah, I would.
Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Okay, Ms. Terranova, would you read case number 6, please?
The sixth case considered by the Zoning Board of Appeals is that of the petition of Michael Bax, 18 Kevwood Lane, Lancaster, New York, for one variance for the purpose of installing a privacy fence in a required front yard on premises owned by the petitioner at 18 Kevwood Lane, to wit, a variance from the requirements of Chapter 400 zoning Section 34, subsection C of the Code of the Town of Lancaster. The request calls for installing a 6-foot-tall privacy fence in a required front yard. Chapter 400 zoning Section 34, subsection C of the Code of the Town of Lancaster requires within non-industrial districts no fence or wall other than a necessary retaining wall over 3 feet in height shall extend into the front yard of any lot. The petitioner therefore requests a 3-foot variance.
Thank you. And do we have someone here from Kevwood? Come on up.
Hi, my name is Mike Backus from 18 Kevwood, and I'm looking to have a fence go from this, a 6-foot privacy fence going from the side of my house out a couple feet from the sidewalk and then back and then around connecting to the other current fence that's there. My previous house I'm also living on a corner lot. Previous house I had a 4-foot fence, but I have a special needs son, low functioning, who's nonverbal, and he hopped the fence and went down Broadway on Bowen Road, very busy. Police had to be called on everything. So we would like to do it right this time and have a 6-foot privacy where he likes to play in the yard and sometimes remove his clothes, and we want to make sure that it's not affecting any neighbors and anything, and, you know, just kind of make sure that everything is buttoned up. It's going to be a very nice looking fence. I did speak with the neighbor on the right of me. He thinks everyone in the neighborhood is going to be great, shouldn't have an issue. I spoke with the neighbor across the street, feels the same way. There's not a lot of traffic there at all because there's just one street that goes around. There's no traffic that comes from this way at all. That's it.
Thank you. Mr. Zelak, want to start us off, please?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have no questions.
Thank you, Mr. Zelak. Mr. Hain?
I too have no questions.
Thank you. And Mr. Matthews?
I have no questions as well.
Mr. Michaely?
No questions for me, thank you.
Mr. Storr?
Thank you, Madam Chair, no questions.
Mr. Tillmans?
Thank you, no questions.
I too have no questions. Anyone in the audience?
The only thing I'd recommend again is that easement enforcement letter from Erie County Sewer District 4, that we have that property line 2 feet from the sidewalk is the front property line.
Okay.
So an encroachment letter from Erie County Sewer District 4.
Let me, mind if I...
Got to put it
I have to contact Erie County, who's this?
Erie County Sewer District 4.
Sewer District Court?
Yeah.
And is that for the back of the property, or
No, this would be the Hickory Lane side of the property.
Okay.
There's a 15-foot wide sanitary sewer easement there.
to go 2 feet, right?
You're going to be putting the fence within the easement.
Perfect. Okay. And then when I get that, I bring that to you?
That's part of the permit documents, yes, sir. Perfect. Thank you.
Okay, your variance request is granted.
No, we didn't vote yet.
What? I'm sorry.
We didn't do it yet. We didn't do it yet.
Oh, well, we did go around though, right?
We went
to
around.
the audience. Okay.
Whereas zoning board of appeals of the town of Lancaster has made the following findings, that this is a single-family residence, according to part 17C, 17 of the New York State Codes, Rules, and Regulations, is a type 2 action, has been determined not to have a significant impact on the environment, therefore it is not subject to secret review, that no undesirable change will be produced in the character of the neighborhood by granting it the area variance relief sought, that no detriment to nearby properties will be created by the granting of the area variance relief sought, because of this privacy fence will not be considered a detriment. That the benefit sought by the applicant cannot be achieved by some other method feasible for the applicant to pursue other than the area variance relief sought, that the requested area variance is not substantial, that the proposed area variance will not have an adverse effect or impact on the physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood or district, that the alleged difficulty is self-created but not to the extent necessary to preclude the granting of the area variance relief sought, that this board is taking into consideration the benefit of the applicants if the area variance relief sought is granted as weighed against the detriment to the health, safety, and welfare of the neighborhood or community by such grant, that such fence will not unduly shut out light or air to adjoining properties, and that such fence will not create a fire hazard by reason of its construction or location.
Thank you, Mr. Storr. We have a second?
I'll second.
Sorry.
I'll second.
Second, Mr. Tillmans? And roll call vote, please.
Mr. Hain?
Yes.
Mr. Matthews?
Yes.
Mr. Michaely?
Yes.
Mr. Storr? Yes. Mr. Tillmans?
Yes.
Mr. Zelik?
Yes.
Chairman Monticelli?
Yes. See, I'm psychic. Yeah.
Thank you.
Your variance is granted. You're welcome. Okay, Ms. Chairman, will you read case number 7 for us, please?
Seven case considered by the Zoning Board of Appeals, the petition of Kevin Curry, Cross Creek 8 LLC, 8940 Main Street, Clarence, for one variance of the purpose of constructing a single-family residence on premises owned by the petitioner at 1 Northfield Lane, Lancaster, New York. A variance from the requirements of Chapter 400, zoning Section 32 of the Code of the Town of Lancaster. The request calls for constructing a single-family residence with a 47-foot, 6-inch setback dimension from pavement road. Chapter 400, zoning Section 32 of the Code of the Town of Lancaster requires, except as provided in Section 414C, Schedule B, the minimum building lines measured from the center of the street shall supersede the minimum front yard requirements for those districts, including pavement road, of 90 feet. In this case, 57 feet from the right-of-way. The petitioner therefore requests a 9-foot, 6-inch variance.
Okay, thank you. Back, Mr. Hopkins.
Yes, good evening, Chairperson and members of the Zoning Board of Appeals. Sean Hopkins on behalf of the applicant. We're here this evening in connection with requests for 2 lots, one located at 1 Northfield, 2 Northfield. I don't know if you want me to go through them separately or if you prefer that I combine the presentation. I'll do whatever you prefer.
Well, we have them as 2 different cases, but if they could be presented, can they be presented together? Excellent. Excellent.
Okay,
together.
so 1 Northfield Lane, first of all, I did provide you each with a handout. All of this information is in the application as well. The first document is a color photograph. 1 and 2 Northfield are highlighted here. The purpose of this particular aerial is there's 5 lots located here to the south that are part of this original 260 plus lot subdivision that have the same front yard setback from the center line as pavement road as we're asking for this evening, which we'll talk about in a second. The second one is actually a copy of the map cover from back in 2008 showing those 2 lots, which are located here, 1 and 2 Northfield. And believe it or not, that map cover is old enough that it was signed by Kathy Hochul as the town clerk's at the county clerk's office. The third is a copy of the relevant section of the zoning code. Because we're on pavement road, the zoning code specifies increased or enhanced setbacks from the center line of certain roads, pavement road being one of those. In this instance, 400-32 of the code states that the minimum required setback is 90 feet. That's larger than what would otherwise be required. And then finally, there's 2 plot plans for both 1 Northfield and 2 Northfield. Before I begin, I do want to note that with respect to 1 Northfield, we are also asking for a 12-foot variance rather than 9.5 feet as was written up. Basically, the plan changed subsequently, very minor. It was not a mistake made by Mr. Fajon. That would put both of the homes on 1 Northfield and 2 Northfield, which is a second variance application, at the identical setback of 45 feet, requiring a variance from the center line of pavement road of 12 feet. So I want to make that clarification. It's also important to note that Diane and her staff at the clerk's office did refer both of these applications to the Erie County Department of Environment Planning pursuant to New York State General Municipal Law Section 239M. She was also kind enough to provide me with the replies it received on both of these applications, and not surprisingly, there was no recommendation. So the variance that we're here this evening seeking, as I indicated, is from the center line of pavement road. The zoning code would require 90 feet for both 1 Northfield and 2 Northfield. What we're asking is a deviation of 12 feet, which would put us 78 feet back from the center line of pavement road. It is important to note that there are 5 lots today located here on pavement road. They're located at 548 through 556 pavement, where in these predate Mr. Fajon being the code enforcement officer, it was not referenced or never brought out that those don't comply with that setback. So what we're asking for is the same setback as those existing homes. It's also important to note that my client is not the original developer of this subdivision. Essex Homes purchased lots for sale within the subdivision, and at the time they purchased it, they did all of their due diligence, including looking back at the map covers, looking back at the title searches, et cetera, and nowhere in either records they received from the seller or the town's records was there any indication that the special setback applied. In fact, I believe it was Matt who, doing his due diligence on this, figured that out. Again, we do agree with him. It's clear as day based on the zoning code. If we were forced to comply with the code, basically these 2 parcels that are fully assessed by the town today would be undevelopable. And what I mean by that is if you look at the plot plans that we've submitted, we would be left with houses that would have a width of 37 feet 6 inches. Essex has numerous models for homes that they utilize in communities throughout West New York. None of them have a width of 37 feet. In addition, a house with a width of only 37 feet clearly would be incompatible and out of character with the remaining 260 homes that have been built in the Cross Creek subdivision over the course of the past 17 years. Obviously, this is governed by the balancing test and the 5 criteria set forth in New York State Town Law, Section 267B3B, which requires you to balance the benefits to be received by the applicant on the one hand and weigh those against any resulting detriments to the health, safety, and welfare of the surrounding community or neighborhood. I would note here the benefits are tremendous. In the absence of the requested relief, basically we're left with 2 lots that we can really not utilize in any productive manner whatsoever. It's also important to note that with respect to lot 1, this lot on the southern side, we actually have a purchase contract. That purchase contract was entered into months ago, prior to there being knowledge of this particular issue. It's to build a new single-family home. The total price of that is more than $500,000. Obviously, we would lose that sale, but it would be even more of a hardship for the purchaser who's been waiting very patiently as we try and resolve this issue. The 5 criteria that you need to consider in connection with any request for an area variance is 1, whether granting the requested relief will result in an undesirable change to the character of the neighborhood or a detriment to nearby properties. We think, again, the answer to that is no. There's absolutely no indication of any evidence existing that would suggest this will result in an undesirable change in the character of the neighborhood. And in fact, if Essex did have a home plan with a width of only 37 feet, and we built such homes on those lots, then I think there would be an argument that you're not consistent with the character that's been established throughout the 260 existing lots. The second criteria is whether any feasible alternatives that the applicant can pursue that would eliminate the need for the requested relief while still allowing them to maintain the benefits. And quite clearly, in connection with these requested variances, the answer is a no. The answer is no. In the absence of the requested relief, again, we're stuck with 2 lots that basically almost become worthless, and all that would be permitted as of right is a house with a width of 37 feet, 6 inches. Third criteria is whether or not the requested relief is substantial, and as set forth in the application, it's not simply quantifying the deviation from the underlying code requirement, it's taking a look at whether the grant of the requested relief will result in any harm. Here, I don't think any harm will result. I also want to note that even if you do look at it from the perspective of the deviation from the zoning code, it's 12 feet out of 90, so it's more or less 15%. Again, consistent with the setback of the 5 existing homes in the subdivision that are already along Pavement Road. Fourth criteria is whether granting the requested relief will have result in any adverse physical or environmental impacts. I would reference here this is a type 2 action pursuant to the State Environmental Quality Review Act. That means the DEC has determined categorically that there will be no adverse environmental impacts. And again, the granting of the requested relief allows us to build something that's consistent with the neighborhood, not inconsistent in the absence of the requested relief. And then finally, whether the alleged difficulty is self-created, which of course cannot be the sole criteria for the basis of your decision. Here, I think that one is debatable. Obviously, the code provision does exist. It was ignored for at least more than 1 decade by the previous owner as well as the town. And I'm not saying that was deliberate. There was no indication in any of the documentation that my client reviewed when they acquired the property that that setback applied, but nonetheless it does. So we would ask that you find it to not be self-created. However, even if you disagree with that particular justification, one of the 5 criteria, we still think there's ample justification based on the overall balancing test and the 5 criteria to justify the grant of the requested relief. So with all that being said, with respect to both parcels, 1 Northfield and 2 Northfield, we're asking for a variance for 12 feet from the center line of Pavement Road, and we're hoping that both those can be approved, and especially with respect to 1 Northfield, we can let the purchaser know this evening, and they can move forward with that project as expeditiously as possible. If there's any questions, either myself or Mr. Curry would welcome the opportunity to address them. Thank you.
I think we need Mr. Curry's name and address for the record.
I didn't know if you had Mr. Curry's at Kevin, what's your mailing address?
Main Street, Clarence.
I have it.
8104, 880.
It's 8940 Main Street, Clarence, New York, 14031.
If I could ask a clarification?
Yeah.
So for number 1 Northfield, the variance that's being requested is 12 feet?
Yeah.
So that was just like a clerical error?
What happened is the plan got changed after Matt issued his notice of denial. So there's a subsequent plan that shows a 12-foot setback, which is actually the plan that was included with our application.
Foot setback or a 47?
45-foot setback, 12-foot variance.
12.
So they'll be identical, Matt. Yeah. We're just looking for the same relief.
I have them both at 57.
Right, which is a 12-foot variance.
Okay,
right?
okay.
Yeah, that's
okay,
correct.
Okay.
Right, 57 feet from the center line, you
Yeah.
have, yes.
Okay, just wanted to clarify that.
No, thank you for clarifying that, Dan.
Okay, we'll open it up to the board. Start with Mr. Hain.
Thank you, Madam Chair. No questions.
Thank you. Mr. Matthews?
Thank you, Madam Chair. No questions.
Thank you. Mr. Michaeli?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Only thing I'll point out is I noticed that whoever, at the time this was all planned, the street, the other lots are all 75 feet wide. And someone did have at least the foresight to make the 2 corner ones.
No, thank you. They are wider, right?
They're wider. These ones are both 105.
Right.
If these had been the same size as 75 feet, this would be a whole different story. This would be a much more difficult, I think, variance.
I agree.
A larger variance.
I agree.
That's all I have.
Yeah, if you drive down the street after these are built, you're not going to notice that, a variance was granted to allow these to be 12 feet shorter. It's going to be the same as all the other homes.
Yeah.
Okay, Mr. Storr.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
I don't have a problem with the variance. That's not my question. My
Sure.
question's kind of more towards Matt. I'm failing to understand the part of the code here. if this includes pavement road of needing to be 90 feet, wouldn't he be technically requesting a 45-foot variance? Why is it 57 feet?
Because the distance from the center line of pavement road,
Yep.
90 feet with respect to the center line, will reflect the dimension with respect to the front property.
Of 57.
Physical dimension of the front property line to the building is 57 feet, minus the 33 feet of the right.
The 33, okay, that's perfect.
And that's because pavement road's a 66-foot wide right-of-way.
That makes perfect sense. Okay. Okay, no further questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Tillmans?
Thank you, Madam Chair, I have no questions.
Thank you. And Mr. Zelak?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just have one question. Just for clarification, it's the first Northfield is the one you're changing the variance?
Right. One Northfield, we're asking for the same variance, 12 feet, and that's the one that actually is under contract, the more pressing of the two.
No further questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Zelak. Mr. Hopkins, I'm just curious about what size you think, or Mr. Curry thinks the houses are going to be.
The houses that we're proposing to build there, I believe, are approximately between 2,500 and 3,200 square feet. Traditional, very nice, upscale, two-story Essex homes. That is correct, two-story, right?
Yeah, I was in the neighborhood. They're pretty big.
Yeah. Yeah, again, the price point of the house that we have under contract is more than $500,000. So a very nice house that'll be compatible with that neighborhood.
All right, thank you. Is there anyone back there?
Yeah.
Hi. Do you have any questions? Okay, thank you. All right. In that case, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Mr. Stewart?
My first motion is, I make a motion that we're combining these two variance requests.
Thank you.
Let's vote on them separately. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Because that's how the legal notices were written, to present.
That's why I was
present.
correct.
That's why I was trying to make a
Sorry.
motion to combine them. I'm trying to make government more efficient. Is that what you're trying to do?
You can read the second one. Okay, so that's denied then.
Say ditto.
Okay, whereas zoning board of appeals, town of Lancaster has made the following findings, that this area variance for a single-family residence according to 617.5C17 of the New York State Codes, Rules, and Regulations is a type 2 action and has been determined not to have a significant impact on the environment, therefore is not subject to seeker review, that no undesirable change will be produced in the character of the neighborhood by the granted area variance relief sought, because it is in line with other structures nearby, other single-family structures nearby.
Thank you.
That no detriment to nearby properties will be created by the granting of the area variance relief sought, that the benefit sought by the applicant cannot be achieved by some other method feasible for the applicant to pursue other than the area variance relief sought, that the requested area variance relief is not substantial, that the proposed area variance relief will not have an adverse effect or impact on the physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood or district, that the alleged difficulty is self-created, but not to the extent necessary to preclude the granting of the area variance relief sought, that this board is taking into consideration the benefit of the applicant if the variance relief sought is granted as weighted against the detriment to the health, safety, and welfare of the neighborhood or community by such grant.
Thank you. I'll second. No, you go ahead.
Second.
Okay. Motion, Mr. Storr, I seconded.
You did?
Well,
Oh.
we're kind of fighting over it, but John said I could go.
So who do you want me to put
I
down?
defer to Chair Monticelli.
Okay. Mr. Hain?
Yes.
Mr. Matthews?
Yes.
Mr. Blakely?
Yes.
Mr. Storr?
Yes.
Mr. Tillmans?
Yes.
Mr. Zelik?
Yes.
Chairman Monticelli?
Yes. Okay, One Northfield is approved.
Thank you.
Welcome.
I'd like to make a motion.
Oh, yes, go right ahead.
Whereas the zoning board of appeals of the town of Lancaster has made the following findings. This area.
Excuse me?
Legal notice.
I have to read the legal notice.
Make a motion for waiving the reading of the notice.
We don't get paid per.
The eighth case considered by the zoning board of appeals is that of the petition of Kevin Curry, Cross Creek 8 LLC, 8940 Main Street, Clarence, New York, for one variance for the purpose of constructing a single-family residence on premises owned by the petitioner at 2 Northfield Lane, Lancaster, New York, with A variance from the required Chapter 400 zoning Section 32 of the Code of the Town of Lancaster. The request calls for constructing a single-family residence with a 45-foot setback dimension from pavement road. Chapter 400 zoning Section 32 of the Code of the Town of Lancaster requires, except as provided in Section 414C, Schedule B, the minimum building lines measured from the center of the street shall supersede the minimum front yard requirements for those districts, including pavement road, of 90 feet. In this case, 57 feet from the right-of-way. Petitioner therefore requests a 12-foot variance.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Stewart, go ahead.
Whereas zoning board of the town appeals of the town of Lancaster has made the following findings: that this area variance for a single-family residence according to part 617.5C17 of the New York State Codes of Rules and Regulations is a type 2 action, has been determined not to have a significant impact on the environment, therefore is not subject to a secret review. That no undesirable change will be produced in the character of the neighborhood by granting of the area variance relief sought, because the property across the street has the same variance.
Thank you.
That no detriment to nearby properties will be created by the granting of the area variance relief sought, that the benefit sought by the applicant cannot be achieved by some other method feasible for the applicant to pursue other than the area variance relief sought, that the requested area variance is not substantial, that the proposed area variance will not have an adverse effect or impact on the physical or environmental conditions of the neighborhood or district, that the alleged difficulty is self-created but not to the extent necessary to preclude the granting of the area variance relief sought. This board has taken into consideration the benefit to the applicants if the variance relief sought is granted as weighted against the detriment to the health, safety, and welfare of the neighborhood or community by such grant.
You're up now.
Second. Keep it consistent.
Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Hain?
Yes.
Mr. Matthews?
Yes.
Mr. Michaely?
Yes.
Mr. Storr?
Yes.
Mr. Tillman?
Yes.
Mr. Zelik?
Yes.
Chairman Monticelli?
Yes.
Thank you very much. Everyone have a great evening.
Thank you, you too.
Nice to see you.
Okay, we have one more case, number 9, if you'd be so.
Did you want to take a break? Kidding.
1 hour recess?
Excuse me. The ninth case considered by the Zoning Board of Appeals is that of the petition of Diane Snyder, 28 Wincroft Lane, Lancaster, New York, for one variance for the purpose of installing a chain link fence in the front yard on premises owned by the petitioner at 28 Wincroft Lane, Lancaster, New York. A variance from the requirements of Chapter 400, zoning Section 34, subsection C of the Code of the Town of Lancaster. The request calls for installing a 4-foot-tall chain link fence in the front yard. Chapter 400, zoning Section 34, subsection C of the Code of the Town of Lancaster requires within non-industrial districts no fence or wall other than a necessary retaining wall over 3 feet in height shall extend into the front yard of any lot. Petitioner therefore requests a 1-foot variance. Thank you.
Okay, 28 Wincroft.
I'm Diane Snyder. I live at 28 Wincroft. I've been dwelling on this for the last 20 years. And I'm like, you know what, I'm going to do it. So I want to put a chain link fence in to keep some four-legged animals in the backyard, front yard.
I'm sorry.
Four-legged animals in the backyard. Safety for the pedestrians, safety for them, as well as I want to keep the spirit of the law alive, the code, which is a very visible, very see-through chain link fence, only 4 feet in height. I have teenage kids who will pull out that driveway. So I know about safety. I want to keep people safe. I want to keep them safe. So that's why I decided on a chain link fence.
Okay. Thank you. Can I just ask, what four-legged friends do you have?
Four-legged?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Oh,
No. Four-legged animals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, I meant animal friends.
Yeah, they're two very small, under 20 pounds. One's 10, one's 20 pounds.
Okay.
And I just want to keep them safe. I have teenagers that will just let them out. And it's like, you have to look at the neighborhood and see who's walking. Some people are afraid of dogs, no matter what size they are. So I want to keep them safe.
I ask because I had a golden retriever who used to jump up, put her paws on the top, and then put her feet in the chain link and just boost herself over.
I have a neighbor who dug under the fence, and he was always lost in the neighborhood every day. Anyone see him? Nope. Yeah.
Little dogs are the way to go, I've decided.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, Mr. Matthews, want to start us off, please?
I have no questions.
Mr. Michaely?
No questions or comments, thank you.
Mr. Storr?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Is the back of this, just because we're going with this with every corner, is this going on the drainage easement in the back of your property?
It's meeting up with the backyard neighbors, already vinyl fence that's there. It's going to meet up. I believe he went past the easement. We have a 6-foot, 3-foot easement between our two properties. From what I understand, when we put another fence on the other side, that contractor told me that back neighbor took the whole 6 foot of the easement, is what I was told. So I'm just matching up to make it aesthetically look appropriate. Yeah.
Matt, does that sound accurate?
Our town engineer has reviewed the encroachment, basically authorized it. The only comment is that we're going to avoid any infrastructure below grade and poles. Trying not to take any drainage.
Okay, if you got a thumbs up, thank you, Madam Chair, no questions.
Thank you. Mr. Tillmans?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have no questions.
Thank you. Mr. Zelak?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have no questions.
Okay, and I have none either. Do we have a motion? Mr. Hain, sorry.
Personal. I have no questions.
Who would like to make this motion?
He still thinks we get paid by the motion, so.
Whereas Zoning Board of Appeals of the Town of Lancaster has made the following findings, that this area variance for a single-family residence according to Part 617.5C17 of the New York State Codes, Rules, and Regulations is a Type 2 action that has been determined not to have a significant impact on the environment, therefore is not subject to secret review, that no undesirable change will be produced in the character of the neighborhood by granting the area variance release sought, because it will maintain the feeling of the neighborhood with a see-through fence.
Okay.
That no detriment to nearby properties will be created by granting of the area variance relief sought, because it will adjoin to a neighbor's fence.
Thank you.
That the benefit sought by the applicant cannot be achieved by some other method feasible for the applicant to pursue other than the area variance relief sought. That the requested area variance is not substantial. That the proposed area variance will not have an adverse effect or impact on the physical or environmental conditions of the neighborhood or district. That the alleged difficulty is not self-created, or is self-created, but not to the extent necessary to preclude the granting of the area variance relief sought. That this board has taken into consideration the benefit to the applicants of the area variance relief sought is granted as weighed against the detriment to the health, safety, and welfare of the neighborhood or district. That such fence will not unduly shut out light or air to adjoining properties. That such fence will not create a fire hazard by reason of its construction or location. That with the intent and purposes of this ordinance, the variance relief sought, if granted, is the minimum variance necessary to afford relief.
Thank you. Motion, Mr. Storr. Do we have a second?
Second.
Mr. Zelak?
Yep.
Second, Mr. Zelak.
Mr. Hain.
Yes.
Mr. Matthews.
Yes.
Mr. Michaely.
Yes.
Mr. Storr.
Yes.
Mr. Tillmans.
Yes.
Mr. Zelak.
Yes.
Chairman Monticelli.
Yes. Okay, your variance is granted. You just have to follow up with the building department.
Okay.
And on a parting note, bit of advice, don't get a golden retriever.
No, I'm small dogs that can sleep with me.
Very wise.
Yeah, thank you. Okay.
You're welcome. Good night. Anyone have any business they'd like to discuss? All right, yes.
I am happy to report that the town board is applying for a grant that would provide funding to update the entire town code.
To do what?
Update the entire town code.
Oh,
Hopefully the application will go in next week. It will take months to hear back. if the grant is received, then I will be asking you for your input on what changes. I have a list from Matt already.
Yeah, I sent one to the board last year sometime, so I don't know if they still have a copy, but I can get it.
I do.
You have a copy?
I have been
Good.
keeping track of that.
Okay, great.
Yes. And if the board would like to make a motion to waive the reading of the public hearing notice, you are allowed to do that.
Okay.
I know that it contains a lot of good information, especially for audience members, so it's probably good that you read them.
Do. Okay. Thanks, Jennifer.
You're welcome.
Anything else? Anybody else? I will make a motion to adjourn. All in favor? Aye. Okay. We're out. You're on fire tonight.
Wow, that went much faster than I thought.
Thank you.
What's that?
Thank you.
You're making up for that.
My thing's up at the end of this year, so when I write a letter hoping to be back on, I'm gonna say I made 80% of the motions.
If they do another one, you beat me to it. I'm like,
And I did,
I was gonna throw in, but.
and
I figure I gotta do at least one.
and I do them all in record time.
That's right. I work harder than